All right, everybody, welcome back to the Heath Barn. Hope we've had a great day. This episode 128, it is part one of a two-parter. Part one will come out tonight. Part two will come out Thursday. But it is he is a former Illini great, co-captain of the 2001 Big Ten champion Fighting Illini, and also the team that made it to the Final Eight in 2001. He is a four-time high school state champion from Peoria Manual. It is Marcus Griffin. He was great guest. He drove to Champaign. I picked him up in Champaign, brought him to the new house. He is the first guest to have out here in the garage that I think is ready to go to start videoing again. This episode was videoed, so I will let everyone know when it is on YouTube. But he was a great guest. And this first part here, we get into all kinds of fun stuff. We talk about Obviously, we talk about him growing up, things like that. Peoria Manual, we talk about him playing the Topper Classic. We talk about the TV show Monk. I mean, so what else do you need? But we get to about his junior year in college or so, and then I shut it off there. And then Thursday, it'll pick right up where this one left off, and it'll be part two, and we'll pick up there with his senior year in college and get into NIL, the transfer portal, the current Illinois team, Coach Underwood, all kinds of fun stuff. So he was an amazing guest. I can't thank him enough for showing up here. We fed him. He had some video games, if you saw on social media. Played some Pop-A-Shot against my son. Video games. Got him fed. Had a great time. So I can't thank him enough for coming on. Thank you, Marcus Griffin, for coming on. This is episode 128, part one with Marcus Griffin. Thank you so much for listening, and let's go. All right, here we are. How's it going, Marcus?
It's going pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we've already had about a 45-minute drive. We've had some spaghetti.
Yeah, I'm full. Nice and full.
Yeah. Tell what my wife what did she make?
Oh, she made some spaghetti, nice salad, garlic bread, and she made sure I had some dessert, some nice chocolate chip cookies. So
that's right.
Helping a fat kid like myself is perfect.
We were also talking. My son last night just got not brand new. I shouldn't say something's new when it's 40-some years old, but an old school Nintendo. And what'd you have to say to him about that?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure all my Pac-Man lovers out there, they understand the patterns that it takes to compete to beat the game.
Right.
And so you can't beat the game, but just to clear the boards. Everybody knows it. Those goblins, whatever you want to call them, there's a pattern that they work the board. When you master the pattern, you'll master the game.
There you go. So now he's got something to work for.
Yep.
It's funny though, because we were talking too, man. Those old Nintendos, now you just got that little chip, and there's like 600 some games that come with them. It's just.
Yes, I have that same Nintendo. I love it, but I only play like 3 to 4 games. I'm an old school Pac-Man guy. I love all the Mario Brothers and then Galaga.
Gotcha.
Those are my favorite games.
So you never got into like Double Dribble or anything?
Probably back then, but not now.
Right. Gotcha. I love watching those and then seeing the graphics now and back then, man.
It's definitely the Stone Ages. When I look at some of the graphics on that Nintendo, it's totally different than when I cut on my PS4.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Well. Man, we were talking so much on the way here and everything, but we were, why don't we just kind of start from the beginning here? Maybe, I'm sure Illini fans obviously know who you are, but just in case, maybe give them a little refresher. Give some of the youngsters maybe a little refresher on who Marcus Griffin is.
Well, Marcus Griffin was a kid from Peoria, Illinois, was part of the four-time state champions at Manual High School. And then I took my ball and I ended up going to junior college, where I was player of the year as a freshman and the National Junior College Player of the Year as a sophomore. And then I went on to the University of Illinois, where I led Big Ten championship my senior year. Was the co-captain of the Fighting Illini Elite Eight appearancing team. We was the number one overall seed, I believe, that year, and now I'm just a manager at Frito-Lay.
There you go. That's awesome. So, man, I'm not going to get to that. We can get to that game later, by the way.
If there's one basketball game that I have watched more, it's that Arizona game. So
you do. So you're not somebody that has the attitude of I can't watch that. You're the opposite.
It took me a long time to watch it.
Yeah.
It took me years to watch the game. But then when I watched it, I dissected my play.
Gotcha.
Very critical eye.
Right. Yeah, that was. Anyway, we'll get to that stuff later. But
yeah.
Okay, so you're young. You're growing up. You are we're 6'9"?
6'9", yes.
Okay, so were you always tall? Did you hit a big growth spurt?
I was taller than everybody else, but I still hit a big growth spurt. I think going to my 7th and 8th grade year, I got extremely tall, and that's when everybody really wanted me to start playing basketball. So that's when I went out for basketball at Treewind. That was the middle school, Treewind Tigers. Mm-hmm. That was my middle school, and then that led me going out for basketball my freshman year at Maine.
Gotcha. Okay. I do impressions, I do impersonations and everything. So I'm gonna give a Marcus Griffin impersonation from approximately 30 years ago, when he found the brackets to the Topper Classic at Danville High School. Okay, so here's Marcus Griffin going through. He's like, okay, we play Chicago King. They got Rashard Griffith, Thomas Hamilton, 2 7-footers. That's fine. I can deal with that. Okay, we're gonna play Farragut. They got Roddy Fields and Kevin Garnett. Okay, I'm fine with that. That's fine. We're going to play Danville High School. They got Keon Clark, and they got, I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Oh, shit. Crispin High School and John Heath? No, I'm not doing that. He shoots 57% from 3. We don't want him, and we don't want any of that smoke, as Charles Barkley says. We don't want that smoke.
We don't want any of that.
Coach, forfeit. Be reasonable. We can't. You give me Garnett, fine. Fields, fine. Keon Clark, fine, but don't make me try to guard John Heath in Crispin High School. Come on, be reasonable, Coach. Is that how it was?
Yeah, it was a lot just like that. Coach McClain was just like, Marcus, I know this is a matchup nightmare for us, but we got to figure it out. We got to dig down deep. They're going to exploit us. They're going to put you out there on an island. I hope you can play defense, slide your feet, maybe block a couple of shots, rebound the ball. And I ended up thinking we did a pretty good job.
Yeah. See, it's just funny how bigger towns and small towns, because for us, we were just like, man, we get to go play them, and you guys are probably like, what the hell are we getting matched up with these guys for? But
you'd be surprised on how often that happens, because even for tournaments, like there were some tournaments that people will come to Manual and play us.
Yeah.
And I already knew it was probably there. We get to play the 3-time state champion Manual at third court. But then you actually have to play the game, and then you're like, I see why they're the 3-time state champions, because we didn't even get 25 points.
Right. Yeah. It was, I've told this a couple times too, but I haven't said it on the air, but I remember coming off a pick, getting open for a 3, didn't pump fake. Not that it would have mattered, you just would have pushed me back where I was probably anyway, but Marcus sent that ball about 8 rows deep, but right behind me, because it just swatted. I just went up for a 3, and he just swatted it out way up into the ground.
If you're going to shoot it right in my face.
See, but I wasn't. Your arms are so damn long, you just got to. I feel like you were on the block, and you just kind of took a step out and just swatted it out.
I got a 7'3" wingspan or something like that, so I can close out. That's why I tell a lot of guys now, you don't have to be the fastest. All you got to do is put yourself in the proper position. If you're in the proper position with a long wingspan, you can cover a lot of ground. And just this time, I was in the proper position, and you went up for the shot, and I just wanted to see if I can get it to the people in the first, second row.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was. I remember also the only other play I remember out of that game was I couldn't get open, obviously. So, but my coach had let me shoot from like 25, 26 feet, and because I could, it was fine. But I couldn't get open, so the ref was that far back. We were running right to the basket play, and I went right off that ref's shoulder, and he didn't know it, and I got it They threw it into me and I hit a 3, but I used the ref as a pick because I couldn't get open on my. I couldn't get open on my.
Sometimes you got to use what's out there to benefit you. The ref was in the proper place on the court that you can curl around. There you go.
Yeah. Hey, before we get into all your everything, like you're the first person that's been in here since I've redone everything. So you like it in here? What do you?
Oh, it's a nice cozy spot. I'm looking at a bunch of pictures and everything of some of the greatest shows that's ever been out. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen The Wire. Everybody's seen The Sopranos. Everybody done seen Seinfeld. Of course, everybody has laughed their butts off watching Delirious with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And then I told him I'm a quiet movie lover.
Yeah.
But the TV show The Monk.
Yeah, Monk. I got it up there. Yeah.
That's my TV show.
Yeah, I got it over there. It was great. His OCD and everything. He's just a lovable old guy.
You gotta have your germ stuff because every time he touches somebody, he's germing his hands down. Great TV show.
Yeah, and that's what you were talking about when they came back with that new one, and they showed him through COVID. You know, man, he was.
You know how? Yeah, he's an OCD with COVID. Oh my God, he was losing his mind.
Yeah, it's great.
Losing his mind. But it's a great. If you haven't watched it, guys, definitely pick up the show The Monk.
Yeah, Monk. It's a great show.
Used to come on USA Network.
Yep, that's right. Then that picture up there above TV, that's my dad. He passed away in 2020, but there's a girl who, that's not even a picture. She sketched that. She's only 12 years old, and she did that.
If she's 12 years old doing something like that, I'm gonna have to get her. I can only imagine what she's going to be in 5 years with some training.
Right. No, that's nothing compared to some of the other stuff she's done. She gets in contests and stuff. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. So, but, all right, so I kind of jumped a little bit, but you said you started playing when you were a freshman, but maybe talk about Sergio. You guys were the same class. Did you guys go to the same, like, elementary school, junior high, any of that? Not until high school?
Nope. I did not know Serge at all until my freshman year. I knew Frank. Me and Frank grew up together.
Gotcha.
Like, me and Frank, we went to the same middle school. I remember our PE coach, our PE teacher, Coach Westendorf, who used to be the assistant coach at Manual.
Yeah.
He was the gym coach. He was the gym teacher at Tree Wind.
Yeah.
So he will always give us candy bars to see who played one-on-one and see who wins. Frank won a lot of those games, but he was just preparing me for what was to come.
Yeah.
But yeah, Frank's father, my father used to always knew each other, and then me and Frank grew up with our brothers and siblings. All grew up together. They all went to Tree Wind. I didn't meet Serge until my freshman year at Manual.
Gotcha.
Well, that summer going into the freshman year.
Right, and you were one grade ahead of Frank.
Yep.
Gotcha.
My freshman year was Frank's 8th grade year.
Right. And then so let's say in junior high, how successful were you guys? Middle school, I guess you call it. But were you were you always just post? Were you always a big?
Yeah,
Did you ever?
No, I didn't play basketball. My 8th grade year was the first year I've ever played basketball.
Wow.
I was terrible. I did not know. We played basketball in the neighborhood, but not organized basketball. But we won the city championship my 8th grade year.
Huh.
So honestly, if you want to break it down, I won 5 championships in a row.
If
you want to look at my 8th grade city championship, we won at Tree Wind, and then we won all the ones in high school.
Gotcha. But the first year you didn't play, you played organized ball, was 8th grade?
Yes.
Wow. How tall were you in 8th grade?
Oh, I was about 6'5", 6'6".
Oh, really?
Yeah. I grew that summer. I really grew my 7th to 8th grade summer.
Yeah.
I grew crazy. I was having body issues. My knees, bones was just growing. But yeah, I grew 6, 7 inches. If you see my pictures with me in school, I was 8 foot taller than every teacher. Outside Coach Westendorf, like my teachers was coming to my waist.
Right.
I was so much taller than everybody.
Gotcha. So then once you start getting to high school with Manual, is that something where, because like I said, Hester would have been a senior in the 8th grade, and I remember them, Manual, being at the Topper Classic there, playing against like King and Farragut and all that, and Hester's senior year. And now when he goes on to U of I, and then you guys are in high school now, but how long did it take before you guys were playing varsity. Was there a couple seasons of JV in there, or was it just straight to varsity? How was all that?
No, for me, Hester, I think Hester was going a couple of years because when I came, we had a star, Brandon Hughes. Brandon Hughes.
I kind of remember that name.
Yeah, Brandon Hughes was all-world football player, all-world basketball player, the man, and so he was the lead guard on our squad. So for me personally, it was a lot of going back and forth because at that time I did not know where basketball stood. It took me a long time to figure out what basketball meant to me. So I didn't go back. I went back and forth, quit a couple times, didn't want to do it. Mom forced me to come back. Mom didn't want me to be a quitter. So I went back and forth from freshman to freshman to varsity, sophomore as a freshman playing sophomore to varsity, freshman to varsity, and then eventually varsity stood. And so we was on it from my freshman year on.
Yeah, that's really cool. When do you start to see yourself being like, oh, this could maybe be something right after high school that could be a thing here?
Not for, man, it was, just to think about that, it takes you back. I didn't believe, because I would say as a sophomore, I wasn't even sold on basketball because I didn't know, because as for me, it was a lot of being directed what to do early at my young age because of my mom. We grew up in a bad neighborhood, south side of Peoria. It's rough. And she did not want me to follow in anybody else's footsteps. She didn't want me to be out on the corners or doing anything, and I can respect her for that. So it was more, you have to do this type of situation.
Right.
I can't have you coming home afternoons, getting in trouble. So this is what we're going to do. And so it took me a couple of years, like 2 to 3 years, before I actually start to fall in love with basketball.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, talk about some of those state championships, man. I mean, did you have, obviously, you get 4.
Yes, 4. Wonderful.
You talk about an amazing accomplishment to win 4 of those in a row with all of the competition in this state. Just to kind of elaborate on that a little bit. There's 4 of them, so obviously you don't have a favorite. You should have a favorite, least favorite, or whatever. But do you have anything? Was one season harder than the other? Were they all? How was all that?
For me, before we talk about the state champions, what got us to the state championships was our summertime. Our summertime ball, open gyms at Manual was probably hardest things that we ever had to do because we had some of the best basketball players that ever came through Manual, came through the city, will come back and battle test us.
Right.
So we had the David Booths of the world, former player Howard Nathan, former player Clint Ford, former player Brandon Hughes, Willie Coleman, Ivan Watson. We had all those great Peoria players coming back. And those were some of the best players in their positions that ever came through the state.
Yeah.
And so that got us battle tested. So going into freshman year, I think we was probably the underdogs to win the state championship. We ended up beating Carbondale in the championship. Going to my sophomore year, I definitely believe we was the underdogs. I think we ended up beating Thornton in the championship. Junior year, I think we was the underdogs. They wasn't giving us our respect. So we had to go out and show it. But the fun part of, as we got older, a lot of the Chicago guys that was on the team, we started to be AAU teammates with each other.
Right.
So having that little rivalry was fun.
Yeah.
Being able to talk crap to Melvin, Eli, and a lot of those guys. And so I think we beat them 2 years in a row. Sophomore, junior year, and then we ended up beating the World West in the final. I say that was the hardest because
your sophomore year?
My senior year.
Senior year, gotcha.
If you lose that one.
Right, yeah.
All the other was because you was making history.
Right.
Like the third one was the tie history.
Yeah.
But that fourth one was to do something that no other team has ever done. So that was probably difficult because it was the system of how they played the game is totally different now. Because it was one day and then you play 2 games on one day. Now it's 1-1-1.
Yeah.
And so we probably play that team 10 out of 10 times. We probably beat that team by 20 points. on fresh legs or whatever. But that game, they gave us, and it took some big stops, some big defensive stops, and then Serge making some big buckets to get us that fourth one home.
Right. Your sophomore year, would that have been if it was Thornton? Did like Thornton beat Farragut or something? They had
Yes.
Garnett, and then Ty Streets, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That was the last year that the state tournament was in Champaign.
Right.
And so that was because we played Kevin Garnett and Rodney Fields and all those boys with a young Michael Wright on that team.
Michael Wright, yep.
In Danville earlier in November. And then we all thought it was going to be a rematch, but Thornton shocked the world at Champaign. And that was a great game. I can remember Ty Streets almost taking off from the free throw line.
That's exactly. I can remember that. I was there. We were there watching, and man, I got to play with Rodney Fields in a summer camp. They had this sophomore, which it's almost embarrassing even telling you this because I don't know how I made this list, but like the top 42 sophomores in Illinois, my sophomore year in high school, Mike Meninga had a thing at Ray and Tool, and there's 42 of us, and man, I got to be on the same team as him, and him playing against people his same age as him, it was just not fair.
Rodney Fields, I can remember the two best jumpers that I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah.
Rodney Fields, Paul McPherson.
Okay.
Paul McPherson was a left-handed version of Rodney Fields.
Gotcha.
And I was able to witness them two in a dunk contest.
Yeah.
Rodney Fields did one dunk.
Yeah.
One dunk. A 360 reverse 360 windmill, the same dunk that Vince Carter did in the dunk contest.
Yeah.
Rodney Fields done this dunk 7 years prior to that in Boston.
Yeah.
And he had on some K-Swisses, no gym shoes, nothing. Was like, I don't feel like doing this, but if y'all want me to do this, I'm going to give y'all one dunk.
Right.
And I'm talking about, I'm just didn't stretch, didn't get loose, nothing. Walked out there, did it, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole another level of athlete. And Paul McPherson came out and did it with the left hand. I was just like, we're witnessing something that might not ever be seen again.
Yeah.
And it was great to watch.
Yeah. That night, we had our last game, and then they had a dunk contest, and they brought in like Kawan Garris to be one of the judges, and Robert Bennett. I remember him. He's kind of a wiry guy. He was like a forward, small forward, power forward. Anyways, he did one. He did that one you were talking about. They did another one where he brought in a bunch of kids and had them all kind of curl up, and he jumped off 2 feet. He didn't even jump off one. And they were lined up damn near to the free throw line.
He was a freak.
He jumped off 2 feet and jumped over all those kids.
He was a freak athlete. I can't put anything on his athletic ability. He was probably never seen. You had Zion Williamson recently, but before Zion, there was a guy called Rodney Fields.
Oh, yeah.
And Rodney Fields was in a whole league of his own.
Yep. Yeah, he was amazing. But okay, so you guys are rolling along, whooping everybody in high school. When did college ball and where you're going to go and all that kind of stuff? When did all that stuff start taking place?
Well, that was sophomore year. All of that stuff started to happen sophomore year, and I had a vision, not until later on, that I could play college ball because I didn't know any. My mom was the only person that I knew that went to college, at a young age, and I didn't even know if that was a thing, college, from the Harrison homes, what is college? And so as the attention grew, the college bug grew with it. So, and then we just had to figure out what we was going to do. Right. And I came up with an idea. Serge and Frank came aboard, and next thing you know, we all was going to U of I. Yeah,
that's awesome. What talk about those 2 years at junior college though? Did they help you? Did those years help you at Illinois develop, because you dominated those 2 years?
Yeah.
Are you glad that happened? Do you feel like that was a pretty good springboard to Illinois, or would you have preferred just to be there right off the bat, or what?
Let's be honest. In an ideal world, the basketball player I think I would have turned into at U of I at 4 years under that weight program, under the system, I think I would have been an all-time great basketball player at University of Illinois.
Yeah.
If I would have went straight to U of I. But I would have been a different type of basketball player, because at that time I wasn't known as a post, like you could throw the ball to the block and he can score. And so that's what I discovered in junior college. Like I had a coach my freshman year, Mike Riley. He was like, Marcus, the offense is going to be yours. I want you to develop into a monster. I want you to have the ball on each block. I want you to have the ball at short post. I want you to have the ball at the high post. I want you to go.
Yeah.
And getting that type of response.
Smart coach.
Yeah, getting that type of great coach. But,
Yeah.
but giving a player like myself that type of responsibility was epic for my mental journey, for my basketball attitude. And so I learned how to score. I learned how to score with my back to the basket, going over my left shoulder, going over my right shoulder. I still had some of those moves in high school, but not to that level. Like the offense was dictated around me.
Yeah.
And so I scored, and that developed me into a very good low post threat. And then when I got to Illinois, even being an undersized center like I was, but I was strong, I could hold my position, but I used my body a lot.
Right.
I understood angles. I understood, like, don't fight with somebody, let their own leverage work against them. And then I was able to score. I think I ended up averaging like maybe 11, 12 points a game
like
for my career.
you were like 11 and 6, something
Yep.
like that. So, how much weight did you have to put on when you got to college? How much of a shock was that? Like a weight program, things like that? Like, were you, because you were pretty skinny, weren't you? Yeah.
Going into high school, I was pretty skinny in high school, but I was hitting the weights and was taking body just to get my body.
Back in our day, it was like the creatine.
Yeah, the creatine and everything. But everything was just about just getting stronger.
Yeah.
It wasn't about me putting on weight as much, because U of I still wanted me to be able to get up and down the floor.
Right.
They wanted to have a big man who can get from point A to point B as fast as almost any guard. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Like I was able to hold my own, keep the big guys off the glass, and I can just sprint the floor. And you see so many balls over the top. Frank handed me just drop down passes because the bigs couldn't keep up. And then I was able to establish early post position as well.
Yeah.
Because you give me a small guy, and then I knew basketball, so when the big guy's trying to catch me, if I can get the initial pass, continue to hold that contact to when the ball can catch me, and I still got the big guy on the top side, and you can still throw the ball up. So
Right.
it ended up working smooth transition.
Yeah. All right, so let's say you get to your junior year at U of I, got Coach Self.
Yep.
Okay, thoughts on him?
Oh, Coach Self, we did not know as a group on the levels of what hard work was.
Yeah.
And we thought we was working hard until he showed us what hard work truly was. Because he said, this is where y'all at. If y'all want to get to cutting down the nets at the end of the season, this is a level that we got to take it up to. And we was not there.
Right.
But yeah, we end up getting there because like boot camp was real. If I don't know if he still does boot camp for part of his conditioning, it was a 10-day. That's all it was. This was like you do a lot of basketball activities and all that good stuff, but the main focus was a 10-day period of time, which you would start at 4 a.m. and then you would go to work.
Right.
Agility stuff, weightlifting, conditioning. Go to work. And it prepared you to be able to run 30 suicides in 30 minutes, 20 22s in 22 minutes, and then you have to run an under 6-minute mile.
Ooh, nice.
Yes, it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah.
But again, though, we was trying to do something. We had to go through these things to do something that no Illinois basketball team has ever done before. So that means mentally we had to be prepared for any and all things.
Right. Okay, so that junior year, how far did we make it on your junior year?
We lost to Florida in the second round.
Yeah.
And that was not a good year because that's the year I tore my leg up.
Right.
And so I was never right the whole rest of the year. I probably came back too early from after that. I think I was 3 to 4 weeks out of my surgery, and then I was back dressing and ready to play. Mm-hmm. And that was probably and that was my decision, probably not the best decision for me.
Yeah.
With life after basketball, but I never got that leg back right. It was good, but it was just, I never had my explosion. If you ask the people who saw me prior to that, how high I could jump and all that good stuff, It never got back to that level.
What was the official diagnosis of that?
Tore my meniscus.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first Big Ten, the first actual practice for the Big Ten season.
Right.
Because it was all preseason and non-conference. And then I remember first couple days in January, practicing in Assembly Hall, and that's when I messed up the knee.
Yeah. Funny thing is, too, like back then and now, those kind of injuries, now they get them, you heal up so much quicker for them with all the stuff, different stuff they have. But yeah.
It's the stuff, like keeping the swelling out. That is huge. If you could, whatever you're doing, if you could keep the swelling off the knee, they can come back sooner, because then that just elevates all the other things, getting the range of motion, getting the strength. But it starts with the swelling, because you can't do any of that.
Yeah.
The swelling is loaded up in the knee. So if you can keep that swelling off, then that process of getting them back faster is elevated.
Yeah. Okay, like I said, we're going to stop it right there for part one. Part two will be out Thursday evening, and it will pick up right where we left off. We'll get into, again, his senior year at Illinois. He tells some stories about his teammates, things like that, NIL, transfer, a lot of opinions, and we just go back and forth and have great conversation. So, hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you tune in Thursday night for part two. And that's that.